So today I'm going to talk about how to film a 5-sequence short film. So brainstorm, make sure you do it. And how do you brainstorm? Just kind of how you would do for an essay. Sit down, maybe do bubbles. It's really not that hard. Let's say you want to do, I don't know, a sequence at an ice cream shop. What are the things that you could film with an ice cream shop? You could film the ice cream. You could film eating the ice cream. You can film the actual ice cream, putting the ice cream on an ice cream cone. Just write all your ideas down, because at the end of the day, you want to try to have as many ideas as possible. So once you've figured out the different types of shots you want to take, the different types of film, where you want to go with your story, you can start building a storyboard. Now, generally, a lot of people do pictures for storyboards, but you can also do writing. So if I were you, I would just write it, but it's whatever is your preference. Write down what each sequence is going to have. That way, when you go to film, you know exactly what you're going to film, even if there's leeway to do other random things. You don't want to go into your set and feel confused and not know where you're going with your film. So in that sense, having a filming schedule is very important. And then when you can go on film, you'll understand what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. And that's why it's important to have a storyboard, so that, or even a brainstorming chart, so that you know what you want to film and you have enough footage for it. It's also important to have B-roll, because you want to have good transitional, sequences. Sometimes people will be reading a book, and then they'll go directly behind the person to show that they're reading the book from a different point of view. However, that is considered a jump cut. You don't want to have jump cuts. You want to have a nice transition between you reading the book to maybe a close-up of the book and then going to the back side. If you have your storyboard done, if you have brainstorming done, this process will not be difficult. You'll know exactly where you want your footage to be. You'll know exactly where everything is. And as you're doing so, I would also recommend kind of labeling your footage. I'm guilty of not doing that often, and then I get confused and I can't find my footage. But something that you might want to do as well is, once you start editing, labeling your footage, when you did what, and editing it so that it's easy for your whole film. It's pretty important to have these steps so that you don't get confused. You know exactly what you want to do. And at the end of the day, you have a product that you're proud of, and it's easy. It's not confusing. You don't feel pressured into putting something together that you don't feel that's good.
Storytelling. I mean, every time we make a video, aren't we just telling a story? And just as a written story is made of words, and sentences, and paragraphs, compelling video stories are also made up of smaller pieces. I know there's a key here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Individual shots strung together to tell a story. Learning how to shoot a video sequence, well, it can go a long way to turn your video story from dreadful to delightful. Sequencing is the foundation of video storytelling. You do it by compressing time. Without this compression, what you're left with are long, boring video clips. Proper sequencing gives a video editor a better way to tell the story by using a combination of wide, tight, and medium shots. By creating a sequence like this, you can efficiently propel your audience through your story. Sequencing helps you to compress time by compressing action. If you videotape the process of somebody scrambling an egg, it takes too long to show it as one continuous shot. You would show them entering the kitchen, opening the fridge, getting out an egg, finding a pan. Well, you get the idea. Here, I've sped up the process because it took over 3 minutes in real time. But you don't have that kind of time. If your video is boring, your viewer's gone. You have about 4 seconds before they decide whether they're going to stay or go. So sequencing helps you tell your story. Let's revisit our egg scene. We go from wide to a string of close-ups. Each shot gives the viewer an important detail about the story. We move quickly through the process, a string of peak moments, right down to the sizzle of the butter in the pan. To shoot this right requires some thought before you even begin to fire up your camera. You might want to make a list of all the shots you think you're going to need. But you know what? Edited together, you can take this real-time 3-minute clip and cut it down to 20 seconds or less. The cool thing is, your audience understands this sequence of shots and accepts this compression of time. Why is that? Well, it's because we see it all the time in television and in movies. Good eggs. Shooting a sequence on the fly requires a little practice and a lot of anticipation. When shooting a sequence, think about how you're going to put your shot together. What's your establishing shot? What's your detail shot? What story are you trying to tell? This means asking yourself, where's the action headed? Where do I need to stand to be in the right spot? What shots get me from point A to point B? Okay, if you're looking for a list of do's and don'ts, here you go. Shoot a wide variety of shots. If you have the time, shoot a wide, a medium, and a tight version of every shot. Tight shots can appear back to back, but adjacent wide shots, well, they're a jump cut, and they confuse the audience. Shoot an action and then the reaction, or the cause and the effect. You're showing the viewer what's important to your story, so make certain those points are clear. Shoot 3 tight or medium shots for every 1 wide shot. Frankly, there are very few trombonists who make excellent videographers. Using your zoom just makes you look like an amateur. Hold your shots at least 6 seconds. 10 is better. You can shorten it in editing. If you're following something that moves, let it motivate how you move the camera. If you're panning over to a building, follow a car in the foreground over to your destination. Sequencing will take your story to the next level. It does take a little practice, but with that practice, your audience will thank you. If nothing else, they're more likely to stick around to the end.
What's good, everybody? So today I wanted to talk to you about one of the most important things you need to do to have great transitions and just a great edit in general, and it actually has nothing to do with the way you edit and everything to do with the way that you film your footage. That being said, let's talk about some ways that you can film your footage with the edit in mind. The first of which starts before you even get out and shoot that footage by writing a plan for what you're gonna shoot. I'm not talking about a script or a shot list or something like that. Deadass, just open up your phone's notes app and jot down a few ideas for what you wanna film. Since what I'm talking about here is cinematic sequences, the most important thing, in my opinion, is to pick a couple details of your location to emphasize. I shot this video in Asheville, North Carolina, and there's 2 things I think are really important about that location. One of which is the mountains, so I wanted to make it, kind of imply that vibe that it's like a little mountain town, and also just the fact that it's whack. Like, it's just a weird town. There's a giant Flatiron sculpture across the street from the Flatiron building. I got coffee in a double-decker bus. It's just a weird place. After all, the main point of doing this is to kind of have some ideas to start with and really get the creativity flowing so that you can plan out a great shoot. You might even plan your shoot out and find that you don't really want to shoot at that location, like it doesn't fit into the video any longer. So the point of doing this is really just to have a starting point, get the creativity flowing, and have some ideas on the table. So once I have a general starting point of the vibe that I want to convey and the locations that I want to shoot at, I'm going to try and come up with a very basic story for this. I know this is where a lot of people are gonna get kind of freaked out. When I say story, I'm not talking about like writing out a full-on script for this cinematic travel video. I'm not gonna write out a character arc for me getting coffee. When I say story in regards to a cinematic sequence, I'm pretty much just talking about something very basic that can be the way you link together cinematic sequences. I decided to come up with a story based on the location that I was shooting at, so it's literally just me going to get a coffee at this coffee shop. And I know that's not like something deep or important, but it's something that gives the sequence a beginning and an end, links it all together, and makes it easier for the viewer to follow. So now that we've figured out kind of a direction for this video and where we want to start, it's time to finally go out and film. When you're filming, the absolute most important thing is to get as much coverage as possible. So if you're out and you're like, I wonder if I should get this shot, get the shot, dog. I know it can be a little bit frustrating to have all these extra clips that you don't end up using, but it's a million times better than needing a specific shot and not having it. One way to ensure that you get as much coverage as possible is to really make an effort to be thorough and cover one spot as much as you can. So if you're walking down the street and you see something you want to shoot, and you get one shot of it, and then you keep going, you see something else you want to shoot, get one singular shot of it. That's not gonna bode very well for your edit, because you're gonna end up with a video that's just a montage of back-to-back clips of individual subjects. But if you're walking down the street, see something you want to shoot, and you decide to stop there, spend 5-10 minutes just getting a bunch of different clips, different vantage points of that subject, you're gonna have more options, and you're gonna be able to really link those shots together and thoroughly give the viewer an idea of that spot. I've said in videos before that I like to get a close, medium, and wide angle of everything that I shoot, and this basically just allows me to either transition from wide to medium to close and get closer to that subject, or transition from close to medium to wide and kind of reveal the surroundings around it. Another shot that's important to make sure you get is an establishing shot. This is generally a wider angle showing your entire location. So I have shots of the inside of the smaller details of that coffee shop, but I also have a wide shot of the outside of the bus. I have shots of this restaurant here that are close-up shots of the detail and the mural on the wall, but I also have a wide shot of the entire front of that building. And this is the same as the wide, medium, close thing I talked about before, in that you don't necessarily have to show a wide shot at the beginning and then go to smaller details. You could have those details and then reveal that wider location at the end. I think it's important to reserve some time to take out your AirPods or normal earbuds if you're broke like the rest of us, and take some time to just listen to the sounds of your location, because the sounds that you hear are going to be just as important in identifying what's unique about that place as the visuals are. So really just think about what you're hearing in addition to what you're seeing and how it's unique to that location, and you're going to be able to make a video that has a lot more of an impact in portraying what's unique about that place. You can go out of your way to record some actual audio of your own from that location to incorporate in the final video. Sometimes I'll take samples of the audio from my video clips and incorporate that, but I've never really taken like an audio recorder or something on a cinematic video shoot, but it's something I definitely want to try out and start doing more of. Most of what we've talked about is things that you can really think about before you even start filming, but I also think it's important to have some things that you're keeping in mind a bit more in the moment, like transitions. This can be on a very basic level, like pushing the camera forward in 2 shots so you have a smoother transition between them, or on a bit more detailed level, like how I saw this statue and had the idea to get 2 different focal lengths of it so that I could put this kind of swirly transition between it. Another idea that I had while I was out shooting was to have the video start and end with practically the same shot. This is something that I've been messing around with in a few of my videos lately, and I like it because I feel like it kind of implies to the viewer that you're completing that circle of the video, even if they don't necessarily realize that they're watching the same thing, or, you know, a different location but very similar version of that location that they did at the beginning. And the final piece of advice I have for this video might seem a bit backwards, but it's just to not plan too much, or at least don't stick to your plan too much when you actually reach the location. I think having that sense of adventure and exploration is essential for not only enjoying what you're doing when you're out filming, but creating a video that has your own personality ingrained in it. That being said, it is still unbelievably important and helpful to have that sense of direction and a starting point before you film. So I hope this video has shown you some ways that you can do that, and if it has, and if you've enjoyed it, do feel free to show your support, leaving a like on the video, sharing it with your friends, or even subscribing to my channel.
This video demonstrates how to shoot a sequence. Pick a camera angle that lets you frame a wide, medium, and close-up from one location. Record a wide shot of your subject. Now frame a medium shot from the same place. Then film a head and shoulders close-up, followed by an even closer shot of your subject's face and expressions. Next, record the subject's hands engaged in the activity. Compose a wide shot, then a close-up using the same camera angle. Working economically, you've recorded 6 shots without moving the camera. Change the camera angle and again film a series of wide, medium, and close-up shots. Be sure to hold each shot for at least 10 seconds by counting the duration of each recording. Use the rule of thirds to compose good pictures, including lead room. Now move the camera around behind the subject. Record your wide, medium, and close-up frames. Don't put the camera too close to the subject or their head will look too big. Record wide and close shots of what the subject is looking at. These shots should not include your subject. They are point-of-view shots and are useful during the editing process. Now, look for a more creative angle, perhaps above or below the subject. Look for additional angles you may not have seen, and search for details that help to tell the story. Be sure you have plenty of video of the primary activity in the sequence, as well as pictures of your subject. Shooting complete sequences will give you the chance to be more creative in editing.
Effective visual editing uses wide shots, medium shots, and close-ups to weave a coherent storyline. The human brain prefers to process images first by taking in a wide vista, then segmenting that wide shot into smaller areas of interest, and lastly, by examining the details in the scene. When editing a visual sequence, keep the pace moving with a series of edits that use a variety of shots, various camera angles, and many, many close-ups. Take several seconds to establish the scene with a wide shot. Bring the viewer's attention to a portion of the scene with a medium shot. Then, provide detail of the action using close-ups. Close-ups are the key to good storytelling. Your story should have 4 to 5 times more close-ups than wide shots or medium shots.